Hey friends, welcome back to A Drill and a Dream. It is an absolutely gorgeous day outside, so I'm excited to get out and do a few little tasks that I have on the to-do list for today. But before I do, I wanted to show you just some quick updates on what I've been learning in my garden design course that I've been doing, and so therefore some thoughts about my back garden area. So I'll show you what I have created thus far. Okay, so I have a few papers here. This is my garden design base map. Sorry, it's a little wet down here. Basically, I made this map to scale of my back area. This is the house, this is my driveway, this is the shed. This is the stone wall in the back, and then this is like my creek. So this is to scale. Every square is 2 feet, and I've become very familiar with the trees in the back that I'm going to keep. And I have placed them, all of these little dots are the tree trunks. You can see some of them are bigger than others, so they are somewhat to scale of how big they are, and then this area is the canopy of the trees. So it's not perfect, but it's an idea of my general area that I have going on. And then from there, I've been working on a few different maps. This is my site survey map, so it kind of just shows different things that are going on there. Like this is my septic tank and my leach field to consider, a big slope, just different things going on. I looked back to see where it flooded, like where the possibility is for flooding, though that is very rare, only happened once in the last 100 years, but it is possible. It did happen a few years ago. I was thinking about that, and literally there are people that were like old people who had never seen anything like that before. So I don't think it's very likely, but this is where the water went to when that happened. So it's definitely good information to know. This map I thought was the coolest to really understand. Basically, I mapped where the sunlight is in the back. It's not perfect, and I'm hoping once I get some more trees out, I'm gonna do it again right in the middle of summer, which is the ideal time to do it this way. But basically, where the sun, this area here is where the shade was at 9 a.m. This area here is where the shade was at noon. This area here is where the shade was at 3 p.m. And then this is where the shade was at 6 p.m. So by doing that, I could kind of figure out which area is full sun, aka has more than 6 hours of sun. And then the areas that have 2 shaded parts here are like part sun. So it's more like 6-ish hours, give or take. This area has 3 shaded areas, 3 shaded colors. So that means that it is part shade, about 4 hours. And then obviously this whole area is going to be full shade, basically less than 4 hours of sunlight. I thought this was the absolute coolest, and I want to do it for my front yard too, just to kind of get an idea, because you don't really know. You can kind of guess, okay, this area has more sun or whatever. For me, this was really, really helpful, and I didn't realize how the sun kind of is. Obviously it's different at all different latitudes. So this made a lot of sense for me once I figured it out, and it was really, really helpful. So now this is getting to the more creative part. These are my bubble maps that I'm working on. So just kind of placing the areas, the things that I know that I want to have, where the patio is going to be, and then just trying to figure out where the best place is for that. So this is all a scribbled work in progress. And as I learn more about the things that I like, I can move things around, and I'm learning more. It's like a very structured process, which has been really fun for me. First, kind of figuring out what the actual landscape has and what we're working with, and then figuring out what I like, and then kind of putting them all together eventually into a very detailed plan. I'm so excited. So right now, this morning I had made some inspiring pictures, and I'm starting the process of really digging into those pictures, why I like them in a really comprehensive way, maybe like what things they all have in common, so I can kind of learn what I actually like. And then from there, how can that relate to the elements that I'm looking to put into my design. So far I'm really enjoying the course. It's called Garden Project Academy. The course is about a 6-week course. So it's very detailed, the process, and it was about $300, but I'll put the link below if it's something that you're interested in for your property, and I will continue to keep you updated on what I'm learning and how that's relating to my plans. I can't wait to show you the finished product of what my goal is for the back. But in the meanwhile, let's get out there, and there are a few things that I want to handle today. Okay guys, no doubt about it, today we are doing something really dumb, and that is moving plants that we just moved last year because sometimes that's just the way life goes. Everyone say hello to Skippy. Skippy is my parents' dog, and he is spending a little time with me because they are gone to Vermont, and he gets lonely. So I had to do chores there this morning, and then he walked back with me. Now we're going to do some work, and then later today we're walking back to my parents' farm because we have a job to do there. But this morning it is such a gorgeous day, albeit a little windy. But this morning I want to get working on this job. So as you recall, we have lilies and we have irises over here. And last year we moved them from my lilac garden, which I'm very happy that we did that. It was totally overgrown. We moved them here because it was like a temporary resting spot for them, and it seemed like a good kind of out of the way place for them. However, I don't think it's actually out of the way, because as you kind of saw in my garden plan, although I didn't specifically show this, I think especially as I was doing the microclimate one with all the sunlight, it really showed me, there you go. We're going to be dealing with this wind problem all day. But anyway, the sun map really showed me the importance of having sun. Shocker. And especially, this is why this is all so helpful for me. What I hadn't been realizing, so my plan is kind of, I want to grow vegetables, although it's not necessarily my top priority. When I was like thinking about my priorities, honestly, it's not my top priority because I just really love other things even more. But I also am aware of the reason why I should plant my own food and stuff. That's just common sense, especially if I'm going to have a garden that I'm tending. Yeah, for sure, have my vegetables in there also, because I do want to have, I don't need to go overboard, like have this huge garden, but I want to have enough to provide for myself so I don't have to buy vegetables. And also I'd really like to can or freeze, stuff for throughout the winter. And that's always been a plan goal of mine. However, I don't think that I'm going to have necessarily a specific vegetable garden. I'm probably going to intersperse, have different areas within, I'm just going to have gardens, and they're going to have flowers and vegetables are beautiful too. Like, I have no problem with that. I just love green, honestly. So I think that'll be really fun to intersperse them and stuff. My point is that by doing all of the surveying of my land, I've really been considering things that I hadn't thought of before. And one of those big things is my septic leach field and the fact that you can't have vegetables, very close to that. So I would have to have my vegetables a bit further over in this area so that it's not getting contaminated by any leach field waters. I think 10 to 20 feet. So in my thought processes, I'm like, okay, so where exactly, because I have the land and I have the excavator coming, I can make this into whatever I want it to be. It's an amazing situation that I'm in. So what I'm kind of thinking is basically straight back from the shed over to, give or take, this area back here. I don't know if you can see me over here, honestly. And I hope that the wind isn't too terrible. I do have my little thing on, so hopefully. Basically, these trees are coming out. The land is going smushed down. So kind of straight back here, or even over here, it'll go back and then it'll come over to the edge of the shed. And you may have noticed that that's how my base map is set up. So that whole area up there, I have it as open tillable area. So we're talking back to this big tree that my dad says is unfortunately dying. So I'll probably end up taking down this big tree for the sake of the sunlight and give this area back here its best chance at having good sunlight. And it should, like you saw on the map, it should be full sun. Basically the only time that it will be shaded is in the morning, and then it'll have the afternoon sun, which will be good for vegetables and stuff. And what's going to really work good about that is that this whole area is kind of built up from the lawn, because when he was doing the septic system, he pushed a bunch of the dirt up here. So it should work in my favor because he takes out the trees, push some of the dirt down into the area down there. I'm gonna need more fill to kind of turn it into a smoother area. The good thing is, even though I don't know anything, Mark is great at excavating, as you've seen in other things. He does this all the time, and so I have full faith in him to be able to kind of do this. And he was the one who said, like where this is built up, he can push it down, and he can also take stones from that area to work on the patio. So really, it's a win-win. And there she goes again. Hey look, I found a hitch pin. So the unfortunate plan for today is move all of these lilies again and the irises again so that when Mark comes in a month or so, they won't get totally trampled and ruined. I thought that this area would be out of the danger zone, but now I don't think that it will be. It's all good, you know, it's all of these processes. Yeah, maybe they won't look beautiful this year because of this, but I can keep them alive to use when I really do want to use them and when I know where I want their forever home to be. And I'm so thankful that I'm starting with a blank slate. I own all of this so that I can make changes to the area and that Mark is coming and is great at doing this kind of stuff. Somebody asked me recently how much land I own. It's about, I want to say it's 2.6 acres or something like that. But it goes a bit into the woods over here. It goes across the creek on that side. It's a really strange shape. I'm not sure how far back it goes, but I know it goes at least to the stone wall. And I think somewhere past that is where it stops. So I'm going to get to work moving these guys. Okay, my friends, so here is the dealio. I got the lilies out of here, you know, at least for the most part, so they won't be trampled this year. Will they come up this year over there? No idea. But I feel confident that they will at least survive to live until next year. And honestly, I might keep them or some of them along that tree line because I think it will be actually nice to have some lushness and some flowers during some time of the year. I have not done the irises, and there is a reason for that. Because the irises bloom earlier, I honestly don't think that they're going to bloom this year anyway. I look at it, either by getting trampled or by getting transplanted at this time of year. But that's okay. Like I said, my main thing in all of this is just to keep them living somewhere instead of killing them altogether. And it's totally okay if they don't grow this year. That's not my purpose. So the reason I haven't moved them is because I was thinking about it, and I think I am going to move them to this area here, this place next to the shed, which is not really a garden at this point. But I do have some bushes. I have, I should probably prune this little hydrangea, which is very small, that I got from my mom. from a cutting from hers. And then I have this Weigela or something like that that was here, although I didn't even really realize that it was a real purposeful bush because it was just crazy and everything over here was so disheveled. I pruned this a lot in the fall, and I'm hoping this year it might turn into something a little bit more like it's actually meant to be there. Another thing I had to transplant was this azalea bush that I had planted over in the woods, and I saw that it is growing, or it's like has some new growth on it, I saw somewhere. But again, it was going to get trampled in the woods, so that is why I should not be planting anything out there until I have my actual plan and know that the excavation is not going to kill it. So I moved that this spring a while ago, and I'm thinking I'm going to move the irises into this area. However, if this is going to be their forever home, I cannot handle planting them into this disaster zone. So I think what I'm going to do is try to clear this out actually, and look, there are already irises growing in here. But I'm going to try to actually clear this out, make it into a real bed area in the next week or two. Then I can plant the irises, I can mulch it, and even if there's only irises and these bushes in here, I'm totally fine with that. Just kind of make it maintainable, unlike this, which just kind of grows up with weeds, but also doesn't really, I mean, I maybe weed whack it every once in a while. I think it'd be nice to turn it into something better. So that's my thought for here. That's why I'm waiting on the irises until I get this bed prepared, and then I don't have to have the irises out of the earth for too long. So coming soon. As you saw, I planted the lilies up against those trees, and then I did actually dig holes and put them in. Not that great, obviously, but somewhat, versus last year I just kind of put them on the top and then threw dirt on top. So they have a little dirt on them, but they could probably use some more, and I was thinking what I could do is try to take dirt from this garden bed that has been driving everyone, including me, probably definitely me the most, crazy. This was not a good idea. So what people in the comments told me, and I genuinely had no idea about this, that different soils are different heavinesses. That can't be a word. But apparently topsoil is very heavy, and that is why the legs probably buckled underneath it, versus if I would have put, you know, a potting soil or something in here. My intention was good to, looks like there are some things sprouting in here, but my intention was to put the black tarp on it and then kill all the weeds so then I could plant this spring. Obviously that failed. I also can't even just pick up the thing because it's so heavy. So I was thinking I could shovel out some of the dirt into my bucket, use that dirt to cover up the lilies, and then maybe it'd be light enough that I could pick it up. A friend of mine gave me this, and so that's why I feel terrible that it buckled like this, but I had no idea about the weight thing. So if I can get it empty, at least I can move it. I'm not sure what the plan is for it this season, but I would like it not to be looking like this. I think we all would. There's also like literally rocks in here, so that can't help with the weight issue. I feel like this entire video is me fixing things that I thought were a good idea at the time and weren't. So again, maybe it's a good thing that I'm doing this garden design course to be more aware of my actual end goals, so I can make more informed decisions. However, the weed thing did seem to help. There's not a ton of weeds growing in here. I really had no idea how many rocks were in here because This was just dumped in here from equipment, so it wasn't like you knew exactly what was inside of the scoop. But yeah, it's kind of no wonder that this poor thing collapsed. Famous last words. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Okay, I think I'm gonna end this video here, but there are a few things I wanna show you. I'm gonna put more dirt on these lilies, give them a good water. But these are the interesting things I found. So I was noticing here and here, there's this interesting leaf, and I was curious what it was. I almost wondered if I planted it, and I can't remember planting anything, but that also doesn't mean that I didn't. But I looked it up using like the Google image search, and it said that it was foxglove beard tongue, which is apparently a North American perennial known for its tall spikes of white tubular flowers. And I looked at the picture. It doesn't look familiar to me. I don't necessarily remember it growing here. I don't remember planting it. Again, it does not mean that I didn't. I might have from Mom's garden. I'll have to ask her. I don't know, but I was like, oh, well, that looks nice. So anyway, I gave like a space for that there, and then I just kind of went along the row. I really do think it'll be nice to have the lilies here. And it would be nice if they bloom this year. It's hard to say if they will or not, because I don't actually remember. I assume they're probably just the regular like orange color, but I don't know that for sure. I could probably look back in my videos to my lilac garden a few years ago, which is really handy to have videos of everything. Either way, I think they'll do well there. They should get quite a bit of sun, and it'll be a good place for them, even if it's just in temporary. But I wanted to show you something exciting. I've been really curious on if this little, I think it was a crabapple tree. I'm not sure. It was some sort of a pink, like a blossoming tree of some sort that I planted here. And I did not know at all if it was alive. But I noticed, look at that, some new growth. And down there also. So I'm very excited about that. I really was not sure if that was alive or not from last year. It had a dry end of the summer, so I wasn't sure. And then here I have the burning bush, which does appear also to be alive. I thought that this one was, but I really questioned this guy. So I'm thrilled that things have made it through the winter. I still have some work to do on this, but I know that my battery is dying, so I should probably say goodbye to you guys for now. But stay tuned, lots of exciting things happening here at the house this summer season. We're gonna be starting on the porch ceiling situation. I have to go there. I have to go to my parents this afternoon and start working on some lumber preparation for that. So really excited to have that in the works, and of course the stone patio coming soon, plus tons of gardening and landscaping fun. So subscribe if you haven't already. Tap the bell to stay notified with new videos. This landscape is going to transform over the next few years. I feel confident about that, so you don't want to miss out on it. I'll see you guys later. Hope you have a wonderful day.